Shabbat Shalom. We are so excited to welcome you this evening, this Shabbat, both in person and virtually. We're grateful you have chosen to spend your Shabbat with us this evening. Please look to your Siddur, turning to 127. If you do not have a physical copy, if you are watching virtually at home this evening, please look to our website's live stream page to follow a link for a PDF. You are invited to follow along. (126) I begin with a prayer of gratitude for all that is holy in my life. God needs no words, no English or Hebrew, no semantics and no services, but I need them. Through prayer, I can sense my inner strength, my inner purpose, my inner joy, my capacity to love. As I reach upward in prayer, I sense these qualities in my Creator. To love the source is to love each other, to work to make our lives better. To love Adonai is to love the world Adonai created and to work to perfect it. To love God is to love dreams of peace and joy that illumine all of us and to bring that vision to life. 128. The top of the page, how good it is to dwell among our siblings, our brothers, our sisters this evening. This evening, as we take advantage of this moment, being able to gather together to pray together. Olam chesed yibaneh. You may not have these words in your prayer book, but I offer this as a moment to take advantage of a meditative space, a space where you are not required to read. You are required to offer what your heart has this evening. Olam chesed yibaneh. God will build this world from love. And God will build this world from love. Yeah, die, 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 die. I will build this world from love. Yeah, die, 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 die. And you must build this world from love. Yeah, lie, 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 lie. And if we build this world from love, yeah, die, 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 die. Then God will build this world from love. Yeah, die, 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 yeah, die, die, die. Olam chesed yibane. Yeah, die, 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 die. Olam chesed yibane. Yeah, die, 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 die. Ready to welcome the Sabbath bride 138, Lecha Dodi. It is our tradition here at CEHV to sing verses 1, 2, 5, and we stand for the 9th and final verse, facing the entrance to our sanctuary, maybe to our home where we are viewing virtually, and we open our hearts in audacious hospitality to maybe someone who might have a little trouble finding their way this evening. 2, 3, 4. Lecha dodi, lekrat kala, penei Shabbat, Kabbalat. Lecha dodi, lekrat kala, penei Shabbat, Kabbalat. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, yishmi'anu el hamidot. Adonai echad u'shmo echad, l'shemo tiferet v'letila. Lecha dodi, lekrat kala, penei Shabbat, Kabbalat. Lecha dodi, lekrat kala, penei Shabbat, Kabbalat. Likrat Shabbat, lechu v'nelcha, ki mechor habaracha, merosh mikadem nesucha, sof ma'aseh b'machshavat tchila. Lecha dodi, lekrat kala, penei Shabbat, Kabbalat. Lecha dodi, lekrat kala, penei Shabbat, Kabbalat. Itoriri, itoriri. Shabbat, Kabbalat, Lechadodi, Likrat Halal, B'nei Shabbat, Kabbalat, Boi v'shalom, Hateret Kala, V'besimcha u'tzola, Toch emunei am sigula, Boi chala, Lechadodi, Likrat Kala, B'nei Shabbat, Kabbalat, Lechadodi, Likrat Kala, B'nei Shabbat, Kabbalat, B'nei Shabbat, Kabbalat. 142. And so we understand that ordinary people are messengers of the Most High. They go about their tasks in holy anonymity, often even unknown to themselves. Yet, if they had not been there, if they had not said what they said or did what they did, it would not be the way it is now. We would not be the way we are now. Never forget that you too yourself may be a messenger, perhaps even one whose errand extends over several lifetimes. Reflecting on that teaching by Lawrence Kushner, we look to the facing page in celebrating the angels in our midst. It's been our tradition over the past 2 years to set our intention, our kavanah, towards the essential workers during this prayer. Shalom Aleichem, Malachi Hasharet, Malachi Elyon, Melech Malchi Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Boechem l'Shalom, Malachi HaShalom, Malachi Elyon, Melech Malchi Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Baruch Huni l'Shalom, Malachi HaShalom, Malachi Elyon, Melech Malchi Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Tzitchem l'Shalom, Malachi HaShalom, Malachi Elyon, Melech Malchi Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. $145. Entrances to holiness are everywhere. The possibility of ascent is all the time, even and at likely times and through unlikely places. There is no place on earth without the presence. The facing page. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shmei Rabba Be'alma divrach hirute V'yamlich malchute B'chayichon uv'yomechon Uv'chayedecho beit b'Yisrael Bagala, bagala, uvizman kariv, v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabba mivarach, le'alam ul'almei almaya, yitbarach. Yitbarach ve'yishtabach V'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitalal Shemei d'kudesha baruchu La'ela min kol birchata v'shirata Tushbechata v'nechemata Damiran be'alma ve'imru amen. We rise in body and or spirit, facing east towards Jerusalem, 146. (149). Please join me. This is an hour of change. Within it we stand uncertain on the border of light. Shall we draw back or cross over? Where shall our hearts turn? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? This is the hour of change, and within it we stand quietly on the border of light. What lies before us? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? Baruch atah Adonai hamariv aravim. 150. Everlasting love, ahavat olam. You offered your people Yisrael by teaching us Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts. Therefore, Adonai, our source, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and your commandments. We will rejoice in your Torah forever. Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are our life, and doing them lengthens our days. Never remove your love from us. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people, Yisrael. Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo, Yisrael. Standing as you are able, 152. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. 154. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol me'odecha ve'hayu ha'devarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha Vishnantam levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shivtecha b'veitecha uv'lechtecha v'derech uv'shochbecha uv'kumecha u'kshartam le'oda yadecha v'hayu letotafot b'neinecha u'chtavtam al mezuzot beitacha u'visharecha Adonai Elohechem emet. 157 Emet. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot together, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get to here, to there, except by joining hands and marching together. As we have that visual in our minds, turning the page 158, we join Moses, we join Miriam. Yai lai yai lai 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 yai lai yai lai yai lai 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 yai lai yai lai 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 yai lai 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 li chamocha bai limad there can never be enough peace. We come to a point in our service where we are asking for peace. 160. Hashkivenu. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu l'shalom, ve'amidenu shomreinu l'chaim. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu l'shalom, ve'amidenu shomreinu l'chaim. Ushmor tzeiteinu, uvoeinu, l'chaim u'shalom, me'ata ve'ad olam. 163. We are a people in whom the past endures, in whom the present is inconceivable without moments gone by. The Exodus lasted a moment enduring forever. What happened once upon a time happens all the time. 164, rising and facing east towards Jerusalem once again. As we move into our Amidah, it will continue balachash in whispered prayer through 180. Please, after offering all the prayers of your heart, find your way back to your seat. 164. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. La 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 ya la 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 ya la la la. שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. It is my honor to invite our president, Jeff Greenberg, to share his teaching with us.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat.
This happens to be the art side of my mother, so in honor of that, I'm going to dedicate this to my son. My son Maximilian is a master craftsman. He's a superb furniture builder in Philadelphia. He has infinite patience, fine motor skills. He was a whiz at Lego when he was a kid, and the uncanny ability to visualize a two-dimensional drawing in 3 dimensions. Now, I bring Max up not just out of fatherly pride, there's plenty of that, but because about a month ago, the Torah celebrated his profession in the guise of Bezalel, I didn't get this right, Bezalel, the master craftsman who singled out by God to build the tabernacle and the Ark of the Covenant. And to judge by the description given it in the text, it's a work equivalent to one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, though none of those wonders ever held the words of God. So from where I stand, it's heartening to find a shout out to the makers of the planet. And a celebration it is. Bezalel is gifted by the divine like an ancient Mozart, endowed with a divine spirit of skill, ability, and knowledge. His name means in the shadow of God. And there's a sense in the portion that he has a wisdom that is even greater than Moses. And yet he gets his 15 minutes of fame in Exodus 35, and then inexplicably, like many characters in the Bible, is heard no more. He indeed is singled out in a book, but look closer at the task that he is asked to perform. It's an impossible job. And we realize that he's not one man, but he's an army of makers. You have to remember that this is pre-power tools era. There are no CNCs, planers, joiners, jigsaws. They use stones for sandpaper. There's no Home Depot to wander off to for a pre-cut 1x10 cubits board. Planks of wood were milled by hand, elaborate joinery, chiseled, finishes concocted from boiling vegetables and animal bones. Add to that the fact that they're in the wilderness. Nothing is convenient. Nothing is readily available. The acacia tree, from which we're told the whole enterprise is constructed, is a stub of a plant, not very tall, not very thick. It must have taken a forest of them to build what's described in the passage. This must have been the effort of a workshop, not one man, much like the Renaissance workshops of Raphael and Rembrandt. A small army of specialists, jewelry makers, gold leafers, tailors, even apothecaries. Bezalel is its director. His crew is called upon to bring this higher vision to earth. It's completely appropriate for what the tabernacle is, as defined in the passage of Leviticus that's read tomorrow. The tent of meeting of the divine and humanity, built by the hand of a master craftsman, in the spirit of God. Yet, there's something curious about the passage, something that I've not seen mentioned in any of the commentaries. So take what follows as original speculation, because that's really all it is. In unprecedented detail, the portion describes what Bezalel constructed. The measurements, the joinery, the gold leafing, the creatures guarding the tablets, but it never says, and God said, take a plank 10 cubits by 1.5, and the work, the design, the crafting of the design, of the idea into form, of 2 dimensions into 3, is the maker's noble work. It's as if God sketched it out on a cocktail napkin and left it to Bezalel to mold into something glorious and opulent. But that is what a master craftsperson does, turns 2 dimensions into 3. And it's really a metaphor for the God-mankind relationship. But this is what I find very curious indeed. To paraphrase Isaiah, was this the tabernacle that I've chosen? This is not to diminish what my son does, but these Israelites, chosen of the Lord, wandering aimlessly in the wilderness of Sinai, basically had nothing. They probably could not have even afforded to hire my son. They carried their lives with them. They took no riches that we know of out of Egypt. They beat a hasty retreat. That's why we have the unleavened bread. We eat matzahs on Passover. But the book never tells us that they owned gold and silver at all in Egypt. They were slaves unto Pharaoh, a humble people apart. And yet, here, at the foot of Sinai, they construct a tent, but a magnificent tent, of wood overlaid with gold, of elaborate carvings of terrifying creatures, cherubims, half human, half winged, facing each other across the ark. No expense, no extravagance is spared. The portion remarks on the generosity of the people, coughing up the precious metals, planks, and jewels, so much so that Moses has to ask them to stop. But read the text very closely. God did not ask for such an edifice. He provided only the master builder and the requirement that the people bring their offerings. Was their generosity, their guilt over the golden calf, the episode which had just preceded this? Was the gilding of the building a guilt offering, a way to atone for their idolatry? Perhaps. But they did build a remarkable structure. But my question is, would a simple structure, easier to carry through the wilderness, not have satisfied God? A God who eschewed the trappings that the gods of the day seemed to demand, to have their likenesses sculpted in basalt, their temples built of marble, held up by telemons and caryatids. Was this the temple that I've chosen? No, I don't think so. Inwardness, humanity, intellect, a portable God that they carried with them in their hearts, a God not tied to a place or a temple complex. These were and are the hallmarks of this people and the true genius of Judaism. In a way, building a tabernacle of gold and silver was the direct antithesis of what was to come in the religion after the destruction of the temples. And I wonder if humanity's need to glorify God with cathedrals that deliberately trivialize people, paintings and sculptures that humble them, rituals that exclude them, began here with this elaborate tent in the wilderness. Admittedly, I've always felt a bit of an ease walking into a Jewish temple that borrows heavily from their Christian neighbors, that apes the trappings of a cathedral with apse and nave and transept in a show of one-upsmanship. The synagogue in Florence, in Italy, for example, is crafted to look like a church, down to the balconies for sermoneering on either side of the altar. In fact, the shul on Eldridge Street in the Lower East Side is gilded to show off the success of the congregation on these shores. And yet, the first synagogue that I ever visited in Roselle, New Jersey, was a one-story room built about a central reader's table. The congregation arrayed around it. The building was perpetually dark and had the stale odor of old men in stained prayer shawls, trembling, creaking, and wobbling as they davened. That was a shul. Prayer was indeed happening. Their humility had lifted the curtain between heaven and earth. The presence of the Lord haunted that room. That, at least, is what I remember. It was, granted, it's another tradition, I'll give you that, but years ago, I visited Assisi in Italy. The cathedral there is built over the simple stone hut of St. Francis. The cathedral dwarfs the worshiper with its frankly ungainly architecture and poorly executed ecclesiastical paintings. It really empties you of feeling. But then I went down into the hut where St. Francis lived. I looked around at the faces there, the wizened old and the young with their rosaries, and saw the tears streaming down from the eyes of these true pilgrims. And I began to understand the humility that's the essence of any religion. I've always believed that the Torah is a record of the struggle between humankind and heaven, man's, forgive me, need to say, here I am, hinene, in the face of the heavenly onslaught of rules and rituals. But for any of this to take place, no elaborately carved cherubim is needed, no gold leaf planks or six-stemmed candelabra is required. No tent of blue-striped linen or essential oils of myrrh must be found. All that is needed is a place, a simple tabernacle for heaven and earth to come together, which ultimately is the story of Leviticus that's read tomorrow. There's one more tale, and I promise I'll finish. We were in Sicily, in the ancient city of Siracusa, where Jewish Berbers from North Africa had settled. My wife read in a guidebook that there was a first-century mikveh on the street of the Jews. We wandered over, paid our few euros, and were led 50 feet below the current hotel that stands there now. And at the bottom of the staircase, carved out of solid rock, were 4 basins the size of bathtubs, surrounded by the private dressing rooms, also cut right out of the rock. There, into the basins flowed the requisite spring water. The span of 2,000 years of Jewish thought and belief, history and humility was there to behold. Just these 4 basins filling with water, which I suppose is another quite beautiful metaphor for Judaism. No cathedral or cherubim is necessary. This was truly the essence of the tabernacle that this passage, I think at least, speaks of. Thank you all for listening. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. Thank you so much, Jeff. Here in our tabernacle, we have come to a moment of healing. Page 371. We direct our light to those in need of healing in our community and beyond. And I would like to set an intention along with those of our community. We are also sending a mishaberach to those in Ukraine who are in need of healing in times of senseless war. We offer healing to Susan Bosch, Phyllis Fillmore, Ellen Futterman, Helen Krasnow, Joyce Krasnow, Stephanie Payusko, Elaine Trott, Claude Schleuderer. Continued healing to Laura Gelber, Richard Gelber, and Lauren Petties. As my eyes meet yours, please offer any names that you wish to this evening. blessing, and let us say Amen. Yishebeirach Imotenu Mikor habracha li'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen. We will offer a moment of announcements. Tomorrow morning, our minyan will begin at 10 a.m. with special guest teacher, Dr. Martin Miller. Our Sunday religious school will begin at 9:30 a.m., and I will be joining the kids in practicing for our Pesach concert. Next week, ongoing learning with Rabbi El will resume. Our annual Women's Seder is back with a virtual program for Sunday afternoon, April 3rd at 2 p.m. A new connection program of hope, strength, sharing, Passover experiences, girls and women's role models in this season of renewal. We look forward to sharing with you and hearing from you. Please RSVP to Bonnie Lober at blober, B-L-O-B-E-R, at hvc.rr.com. Any questions about that email, reach out to Regina, and she will make sure Bonnie gets your message. Shakespeare, The Merchant of Venice, will be taking place Thursday, April 7th from 7 to 8:30. Join us for a free virtual class from our longtime member, Professor Mary Warner, on the Bard's Most Enigmatic Offering. From Edwin Booth to Al Pacino, Shylock has borne the worst stereotypes of Judaism. Professor Warner will tackle the elusive question Shakespeare raises. Mary is a professor of English at SUNY Orange, where she has taught the College Shakespeare's course for the last 22 years. Please register for this Zoom link. It doesn't sound like you will want to miss it. Passover is about opening our homes, especially this year. This is our commitment to our community. We have two opportunities to connect and engage in the mitzvah of this participation. Allow a host the privilege of welcoming you to their table, or welcome others to your Seder. The first night Seder is taking place on Friday, April 15th this year. Please contact the main office for details about signing up to host or attend a Seder. Our second night Seder will be resuming with virtual program and concert from our Zemmer and myself, as well as the children, for Saturday, April 16th at 5 p.m. So I would like to clarify, we have a virtual program that will be taking place April 16th at 5 p.m. That morning, we will be having a celebration and Passover concert. We will do a short festival service, so we check all of our responsibility in our boxes, and then we'll have some fun listening to music, making music with the Zemmer and the children of our Zimmet Learning Adventure. There's a parent open house for prospective students of the Zimmet Jewish Learning Adventure, and we welcome you to join on April 24th. Please contact our religious school director, Jonathan, with any questions. And a new class is taking place. It's a beginning Introduction to Judaism conversion class with Rabbi Yael Romer. This class is perfect for anyone looking to learn more about Judaism, or if you are on a conversion journey, or if you want to engage more with the fundamentals of Judaism. The class will include beginners, Hebrew, liturgy, holidays, life cycle events, Jewish thoughts, and more. Please contact the office for more information. CEHV's Food Access and Security Initiative continues to support the Blue Fridge. This ongoing program accepts a variety of donation items, include prepared meals, fresh produce, or pantry staples. If you think of it when you're exiting, we have bags on the right. Please grab a bag or use your own, fill it up when you're grocery shopping, and drop it off to those who may be food insecure in our community. Membership and Welcoming Committee invite you to join us here as a greeter during our in-person services on Friday evenings and Saturday mornings. Please contact the main office, and a shout out to our community for stepping up during that time. COVID-19 protocol are posted in details on the website, and we are so glad that you are taking the time and welcoming Shabbat in person this evening. $587. Rising as you are able for the Aleinu 587. Aleinu l'shabeach la'adon ha'kol, la'teit gedula le'yotzer b'reshit, shehu sam chelkeinu le'yached et shemo, v'gor aleinu lehamlich malchuto, v'anachnu korim, u'mishtachavim u'modim, Lifnei melech malchei hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. 591. V'nemar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz. Bayom hahu, yeh Adonai echad, u'shemo echad. 594. It is a fearful thing to love what death can touch. A fearful thing to love, hope, dream, to be, and oh, to lose. A thing for fools, this, and a holy thing to love. For your life has lived in me, your laugh once lifted me, your word was gift to me. To remember this brings a painful joy. 'Tis a human thing, love, a holy thing to love what death has touched. We take this opportunity to be with those in our community who are in their year of mourning. We are with the Albeli family and all those on our memorial list. So too do we weave in the memory of those who died in this season in years past. Our hearts join with yours in remembering the yard sites of Christina Mildred, remembered by Linda Sumber, Michael Cernitsky, remembered by Carolyn Cernitsky, Florence Epstein, remembered by Estelle Nadler, William Avigkite, remembered by Barbara Ronder, Bernice Greenberg, remembered by Jeff Greenberg. Donald Gus, remembered by Allison Gus. Neil Hirsch, remembered by Stephen Hirsch. Dr. Martin Cantor, remembered by Anita Cantor. Max Krasnoff. Alfred Mermelstein, remembered by Susan Mermelstein. Dr. Stephen Mitzner, remembered by Jane Mitzner. Jeremy K. Nadler, remembered by Errol and Estelle Nadler. Dorothy Raymond, remembered by Susan Bosch. Hannah Rufberg. Bibi Shapiro, remembered by Judith Golub. Albert Vogel. Max Wachtel. Herbert Wolf, Renee Wolf. Remembered by Thomas Ross. Herbert Wolf, remembered by Felice Gasul. If there are any names for yard sites, please rise at this time.
My grandfather, Michael Hirschowitz.
It is our tradition, along with those who are in their year of mourning and who are observing their yard sites, we also stand as we are able with them to affirm. We also stand and recite this blessing together for those of every race and nation who lived their lives as a blessing, who don't have anyone to say Kaddish for them. 598. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shmei Rabbah be'alma divra chirute v'yamlich malchute v'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chaye d'chol beit Yisrael ba'agala uv'izman kariv v'imru amen Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam u'lalmei almaya Yitbarach, v'yishtabach, v'yitpa'ar, v'yitromam, v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar, v'yit'aleh, v'yithalal, shemei dekudesha berich hu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tush bechata v'nechemata, da'amiran ba'alma v'imru amen, Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, V'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru amen. O se shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol b'nei Adam ve'imru amen. As we move to close our service, 654. Let us sing a song of praise. Hallelujah. Hava Nashira. Hava, Hava Nashira. Shir Hallelujah. Shir Hallelujah. Hava, Hava Nashira. Shir Hallelujah. Shir Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, בורא פרי הגפן, אמן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר קידשנו במצוותיו ורצבנו, ושבת קודשו באהבה וברצון הנחילנו, זיכרון למעשה וראשית. כי הוא יום תחילה למקראי קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים. כי בנו בחרת ואותנו קידשת עם כל העמים, ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדיש השבת, אמן. המוציא לחם מן הארץ, we give thanks to the source for bread. Our voices rise in song together as our joyful prayer is said. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lachem min haaretz. Amen. Shabbat Shalom. Thank you so much for joining us. And before we sign off, I have to send a special happy birthday to my dad. It's his birthday today. So happy birthday, Dad. Shabbat Shalom. Thank you.
Shabbat Shalom.
So great to see all of you.